Most French citizens would probably argue that the country's retirement plan is among the world's best. And while there's plenty of economists that would also agree, they also point out that the system is not sustainable. Jacob Kirkegaard of the Peterson Institute talked to me about this exact problem.
No, there's no doubt that the increase in the number of years that you have to pay into the system to receive a full pension, by 2 years is an important step in the right direction. But the problem, in my opinion, from the perspective of the sustainability of the French pension system, is that France today has an effective retirement age of just about 60. And they only begin to increase the number of years in contribution 7 years from now in 2020, which means that the majority of the baby boomer, the big generations of French workers, they will actually have already gone into retirement by the time the increase begins to take effect. So what this reform actually does, in my opinion, is that it puts a disproportionate amount of the cost of the long-term sustainability of the French pension system onto the young and future generations in France.
What other ways can the French retire besides relying upon the government?
In short, not many. I mean, one of the striking things about the French retirement system and why it is so politically controversial that every time you try to change it, the French go out in the streets to protest, is because this really is the overwhelming part of your retirement nest egg. There are opportunities in France to deposit money into various tax-preferred savings accounts, the so-called livret A. Accounts. You can buy life insurance policies and that type of thing. But the private pension fund system, what is generally known as Pillar 2 pensions, that really doesn't exist in France.
Around the world, whether you're in the US, Japan, China, or Europe, you will have less people working per person that is going into the workforce, and that's only going to get worse over the next coming years. How are governments around the world going to resolve that besides making people work simply longer?
Well, I mean, there's basically 3 ways that you can fix a pension system in the long run. You can, as you say, you can raise the retirement age, which is my preferred way to do it, or you can cut benefits, or you can raise taxes or pension contributions, or some variation thereof. And that is exactly what governments everywhere around the world is being forced to do now in response to higher life expectancies.
Who has the worst pension system in Europe?
I think the worst pension system from the perspective of the retiree right now is probably in Italy, where unlike 20 years ago, where you retired in Italy with a very generous pension, if you retired today in Italy, unless you retire at a very high age, you get a very, very low pension. Others that I would point to would maybe be the Czech Republic, Poland, and some of the Eastern European countries, where again, you get a very low benefit out of it.
The trend is not good for all of us in the younger generation. We're basically going to have to work longer and harder to have the same lifestyle as our parents. Am I wrong about that?
Oh, there's no doubt that if you look at the share of your life expectancy that you're going to spend in retirement having a government or privately funded pension, compare that to your parents' generation, it's going to be a lot lower. And thereby you're actually going to resemble more your grandparents' generation, which obviously lived a lot, didn't have as long life expectancy as we do today, and also ironically retired later than our parents did. So in that sense, there is a very significant intergenerational fairness issue across the entire industrialized world.